wanted to leave the black and brown community. If there's some young teenager, either male or female, that you just want to leave them, to hopefully help them on their way to success.
2 words: do it. Everybody has something inside of them that they really want to do and pursue, create, put out into the world, but this society that we live in instills fear into us. In those genres, you don't see too much representation. You only see one idea of what a Latino looks like, and that can be there can be some gray area though, because even though you are Latino, you are successful, you don't look like me. You don't come from where I come from. You don't come from the part of the island where I come from. And it's funny because when I think of have you seen the movie 300?
Yeah, yeah, I have.
The most famous scene in the movie is when he's like, "This is Sparta," and he kicks my man down the hole. That's a great scene, but my favorite part of that scene is 5 seconds before it. Now, a lot of people may not remember the scene, but right before he kicks my man down the hole, he got his sword pulled out, and the dude's trembling. He's like, "You about to, do this to me?" Leonidas looks back at his wife, and his wife is like, just nods his head. And every time I see that scene, it gives me the chill because that's my wife, bro.
Welcome back to another episode here at Echo Untethered, the podcast. I'm your host, Russell Dowley, and we have an amazing guest today. His name is Christopher Belloso. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Founder of Latin Wealth, entrepreneur, investor, podcaster, community builder. Today's guest is a builder of culture, confidence, and community. Born in SoCal to his Puerto Rican parents, Chris is a first-generation college graduate, entrepreneur, as I said, and an investor whose mission is rooted in service. After stepping into the world of marketing, content, and podcasting, he recognized a deeper calling, one tied to the needs of the Latino community, seeing the wealth gap, the lack of financial literacy, and the absence of platforms empowering Latino leaders. Chris founded Latin Wealth, a movement devoted to educating, inspiring, and equipping Latinos with the tools to build wealth, launch businesses, and step fully into their potential. Through the Latin Wealth podcast, he has amplified voices often overlooked while helping his community rewrite narratives around money, entrepreneurship, health, and ownership. A marketer by craft, a storyteller by nature, and a servant leader at heart. Please welcome the founder of Latin Wealth, Chris Belloso.
Yo, I love it, bro. You did the deep research. You feel me? It's interesting because I'm usually the one that's doing that, so it's interesting somebody doing it for me. I'm not usually the one being interviewed, so it's a pleasure to be here. You hit me up and you're like, "Yo, what do we got to do to make this happen?" I'm like, "Yo, I'll do whatever it takes. Anything for my brother Russ. I appreciate you. Just appreciate our friendship and our brotherhood, and happy to be here. Hopefully, we can add a little value to whoever's listening to this podcast."
Yeah, most definitely. And as kind of I've done in the past with some of the guests, I made the bio, but with doing the deep research, but just, I guess, again, going back to the currency of the kingdom of God, just giving honor. I want to say that although this podcast is God inspired, I want to say that it has been an honor and a privilege to connect with you on how to make this podcast even. Um, I don't know if you remember or not, but I called you out of the blue one day and say, "Hey man, I'm thinking about doing a podcast and I know you got yours launched, X, Y, and Z. How do you do this?" I want to say I'm honored by the way that you did not brush me off. It wasn't ego. It wasn't competition. And if it was a healthy sense of competition. And you gave me the necessary tools. You went down the breakdown of equipment and you entrusted me to, start the podcast with your advice and to see it in fruition. So I want to say thank you for everything that you've done, from just the Marathon Men, the community that you're building, just everything that you're doing, from everything that I've seen, being an integral man, being a faithful man to your wife, and being an honorable man to just the community that you're building. So, the bio does you justice, but I also want to, just aside from the accolades that I want you to know that I appreciate you and how I really feel about you, on a different level, a brotherly level. So I do wanna, before we jump anything, I wanna just
Appreciate
say
that,
thank you,
man.
man.
Appreciate that. Much love, much love. And I do remember that conversation, and it's funny because there's certain people where, look, I'm an open book. You can ask me whatever you want on this conversation, outside of this conversation. And there's certain people where I'll go a little deeper with because I know they're going to execute on the information. You're definitely one of those people. So I don't mind hopping on a call for, 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long that call was, because us is going to execute on this information. And that's why we're here right now.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in because
Get it?
I'm super interested in just hearing your takes on certain things.
Do it.
As I mentioned, that you know born in grew up in SoCal, just first generation Puerto Rican parents and things of that nature. I guess, and I've heard it somewhat inside of our marathon men, but I guess growing up in the environment that you grew up in, what when did you realize your story wasn't just personal, but just like cultural, like you felt almost a significance to not only be better for yourself, but for your community.
Yeah, great question. And so, to give you a little fun fact, I was born in Southern California, but I moved around a lot. I moved to Portland, Oregon when I was 3, and we lived there for about 10 years. And then I moved to Sacramento on the day of my 13th birthday. I was in a U-Haul on my way to Sacramento. That's how I spent my 13th birthday. I mean, I really grew up in Northern California, then eventually moved back to Southern and met my wife, but that's a different story. But through moving around and just being in different environments, and look, my mom, she was 17 when she had me. The next day, she turned 18. So the day after I was born, she turned 18. So she was a child herself when she had me, right? And so she, I'm essentially growing up with my mother, right? I couldn't imagine, I don't know about you, but I couldn't imagine at the age of 18 having a child, right? And then by the time she was 22, she had her second child. So I was watching my mom grow up and go through the challenges and struggles as a lot of us do, right? And so from a very early on, like I knew it was inside of me that I want to do whatever it takes to take care of my family, right? Especially my mom and my sister. It was always us collectively. That was the constant thing in my life. Through the traveling and people coming in and out, I knew I always wanted to take care of them and do whatever it took to do that, right? Um, yeah, I mean, it eventually you start to understand what your gift is, and you understand that you're not on this earth just specifically for your own desires and whatnot, but you're here to bless other people. And eventually, I started to understand that, and wanted to just help out as many people as possible, whether it's the person on the corner that needs a couple bucks, or Russ hit me up for some information. Like, I wanted to be there for as many people as possible because I know there was times where I needed that and I didn't receive it, and there was
Mm,
times where I also received it, right? So I always wanted to be on the end of like, yo, whatever I can give to people, I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
yeah. You mentioned something there, just change and evolution of who you were. You said that, being 13 and just moving rapidly. I guess, um, m- with that factor inside of your life of just the constant change, has that been something that you've carried in adulthood that has been a hindrance, or has it been a almost adaptability skill set, so to speak?
That's a great question. So I started going to therapy when I was about 26, I believe. When you go to therapy, you tell your whole life story, right? They just listening, and a lot of the things I was telling my therapist about, she's like, "Yo, these are untreated traumas these are traumas that you went through. Like, no kid is supposed to be moving around that much. No kid's supposed to be spending their weekends at a prison visiting people, right? That's not a normal thing." And the thing that came up about me traveling around, she said it was an untreated trauma, but I always grew up and seen it as a benefit to me because I was able to communicate and just with so many different people. I mean, you talk about from Southern California to Northern to Oregon, all these different types of people that I've came across, all these different colors of people, different environments. I think it allowed me to unlock the gift to build a relationship and build community and communicate with anybody. Like I can be in a sauna with somebody, I can be in the elevator with somebody. I feel like I could have a conversation and connect with just about anybody. And I think that's came from moving around, always being the new kid at school, having to interject myself and like, be a part of the crowd somehow as a new kid. I think it came from that. And now, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, it was definitely difficult as a kid, but as I grew up, I always seen it as a good thing.
Yeah. I didn't really now that you're talking, I didn't really see the similarities between us because I had a similar childhood with moving around a lot, but mine was actually the the opposite. It took a toll on me of just being timid a lot and things of that nature, which I ultimately grew out of. But in your case, when you felt like you were significant and that you had to change your community, I felt the opposite. But the the way that our paths cross and you've met a different version of me and I've met a different version of you, it's amazing.
Hmm. And
And I'm glad that you.
I was gonna say, not to cut you off, it definitely took me some time to get there because there was a period. I think I mentioned in our men's group that I was that lone wolf. Like I thought I could do everything by myself, and I thought I didn't need anybody. But it took me to go through that lonely period to come out of that and be like, yo, you can do good things on your own, but you can do great things with a community.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you talked on about therapy too, because I believe in this generation, I feel like men are becoming more aware that we need therapy, but it has been shunned. I've from what I've seen in the past about just therapy in general. I went to therapy, I'll say 1920 and 19 or 20, and I always wonder why, and you being us being brown and black, minority, why isn't this in the community more, I guess, just made more aware in the community that we need this. But how did that go? Like being first gen and so many things and I don't know, has anybody been in your been to therapy in your family before, or are you the first?
So definitely my mother, and so she obviously went for different reasons. When I brought it up to her that I was going, her initial thought was like, "Are you gonna tell the people like all the bad things, how bad of a mother I was?" And she, being very hard on herself, right? And I'm like, no, like it's not necessarily because like I feel like something's wrong with me right now. It's just I'm trying to get better as a man and I want to do whatever it takes. And going through that process, there was some things that we dug up that I needed to work on. But ultimately, initially, I just wanted to be better. I was doing whatever it took to be better as a man, be better as a husband, be better as a son. So the reception that I got from other people, the stigma was still there. Like you go to therapy because something's wrong with you, you crazy and whatnot. But I'm like, I don't feel like that, but I'm gonna go and I want to get better.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I guess with Latin wealth and just financial literacy and just I believe from what you've done and what I've seen is just overall wellness, health and wellness, just mind, body, soul and everything else. Um with going through your journey, how has the experience compounded to a way that and I hope I'm asking it, that you've been able to kind of break barriers down in the Latino community? So you've went to therapy, you've took an escape from the environments that you talked about in the men's group. So how has all of those experiences kind of compounded to give you, something to speak from? Because I can try to lead somebody, but if I haven't lived it, if I haven't experienced it, then it's not authentic. But
Exactly.
for you that has been. So how has that compounded and how has that made it easier to for you to break down barriers in the Latino community?
So you said it for yourself. Like you have to go through it. And the word that came up in my mind is the word of like I can be an example, right? And so I think we spoke about it a couple weeks ago, you and I and some of the guys in the group. I felt like my 20s were the years of me developing and growing and God forging me. into the sword that he needed me to be into the world. Like everything that I went through, the depression, the moving around, all this stuff, like I had to go through all that and experience it, even down to my mental health, the wealth building, everything. I had to experience all that to be in a place where like Chris is never going to tell you to do something that he wouldn't do or that he has not done. That is not in my character, right? If I'm going to challenge you, if I'm going to um, push you in a way, it's because I believe in you, and it's also because I've probably done it myself. So I had to go through all that to be an example for people as much as possible, because at some level, people are going to relate with you, and at some level, they're going to be like, "Yo, you haven't been through what I've been through," and that's cool. But I've at least connected with people that have.
That's good. With being well, going through everything that you went through to just become who you are, your destiny. I guess what is one of the biggest takeaways that you would want the Latino community to unlearn? Because there's so many things that I see in the African American community that the only reason it's even accepted is because there've been so many people that have went down this road and never looked at another path because they felt as if they were oppressed. And don't get me wrong, and there's some systemic racism that goes on and things of that nature, but I believe through Christ that we do not have a victim mentality, that we have the victory. So, just building that out and then journey into uncharted territory. So just to circle back to my question, I guess, what going through all that you've went through, what is one of the biggest things that you would want the Latino community to unlearn?
I would love for our people to unlearn their belief system about the life that they think they can have, right? And what's big in our community is when we think of the word wealth, when we think of a certain lifestyle, we only think of one color of people can have that, or one group of people from, I don't know, America. Only these type of people can live like that, can have that, can experience that. If you come from this area, you can experience it. But that is the biggest lie, right? And if you believe that, obviously that's going to be the type of life that you have. And you do see that. Look, all the years that I've been involved with Latin Wealth, I've been doing like market research on how people think and what they believe. And it's, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is the belief system of honestly where they're at in life is they think that's it. That's all they can experience, and they think they can't travel. They can't travel to another country. They can't, open up a bank. Like these are all limiting beliefs that we see in our community, and it all starts by understanding the life that you can potentially have, and you got to believe it, right? And it's tough, like you said. There is a level of there are boundaries, there are challenges there, but I'm just one of these people that I sincerely believe whatever it is that I want to do, I can do it. And so we're doing our best to implement that, to teach people a similar mindset.
Yeah. Have you seen success with trying to, I guess, overcome that giant with Latin Wealth? Not just the podcast, but just in general, what you're building.
We definitely have. And I think what helps is representation is big. So what you'll see in Latin Wealth, even it's, man, we can spend all day on this, but within the Latino community and different platforms, there's platforms out there that are doing a great job talking about wealth and making money and whatnot. But within those genre, you don't see too much representation. You only see one idea of what a Latino looks like, and that can be there could be some gray area there, because even though you are Latino, you are successful, you don't look like me. You don't come from where I come from. You don't come from the part of the island where I come from. So what we try to do on Latin Wealth is have that representation. We have Afro Latinos. We have Latinos that are Black Puerto Rican, Black Dominicans. Even we've had a couple of Black Mexicans as well, just to show that there are people that look like you, that come from where you come from. And we have people from all shades on the platform, right? From the lightest of lightest to the darkest of darkest on the platform, to show that, like, yo, no matter what you look like, no matter what you've been through or where you live, we have people in our community that have succeeded at a high level.
That's good. While you're talking, I'm thinking about the John Hopes,
Hmm.
those type of individuals. I really don't, and I I I can take account for this as well. I really don't think individuals understand how much representation actually
Matters.
matters.
Yeah.
Um, Even in some of the corporate rooms that I'm in, I'm not going to say it's hard, but it is a little challenging. But what I will say is when there's individuals in that space that that you guys come back from the same demographic, it is a little easier. Um,
You can
just
connect with them.
because
They can understand you. You understand them.
and it lowers the pressure of that
Hmm.
maybe I don't deserve to be here. Maybe this room is not really for me. Maybe I should choose something else. It almost um and just speaking for me, it raises that bar of maybe insecurity that individuals deal with, because if I'm already X age and I'm younger than everyone else in the room, and then there's no one else that looks like me,
Right. Right.
that's a little intimidating.
It's a little
Um,
intimidating and can be also exhausting because now you feel like you have to
mm,
be something or be somebody that you're really not. So when you get
that's
off of
good.
that, when you clock out, you take that mask off and you're like, "Oof, man, I
Wow.
can be myself now." You know,
Yeah.
that's tough. That's a tough world to be in.
Yeah. That's a great point, because being as young as I am in some of those settings, I have unintentionally, and it goes back to the moving around as a
Sure,
childhood
sure,
thing, but it made me put on a mask, and I'm like,
yeah.
Russell, what are you doing?
You
Like,
blended in.
yeah, like why are we doing this? Like, just be yourself. And
Yeah.
if they don't accept it, that's cool. But as long as you're being professional, you're being caring, you're being skillful and wise in everything that you're doing. If that's not enough and you don't measure up, then
Hmm.
that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I guess from that, what has been the hardest lesson from entrepreneurship that just has taught you about yourself?
Man, that's a great question because look, I really feel like entrepreneurship really is just a game of personal development. that's that's how I think it is, man. Because the stuff that you're gonna go through and experience, and the things that are gonna be revealed to you through entrepreneurship is just, ah, man, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing that has been revealed to me is my resilience to keep going, to not quit, and keep in mind, like there's this, it's almost a little toxic in the entrepreneurial space where you, man, you can't quit, don't ever quit, don't ever quit. No, there may be some times where you need to make a hard pivot to something else,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So you got to have that awareness as well. But I think through it all, like having that resilience is what's been exposed to me, and I always say my superpower is my ability to be consistent. So I'm gonna show up. I may not be the strongest at the gym, may not be the quickest, I may not be the smartest entrepreneur, and I may not be the best marketer, but I'm going to show up every single. You're gonna see me every single day. You're gonna get sick and tired of me. That's my superpower.
And and I want to segue into this because you said a lot of great things thus far. From everything that you've done for the community, being one that feels as if they're significant, the resilience, the character development within entrepreneurship, how has all of that kind of correlated into your marriage?
Mm.
Because what I've heard and what I've seen is that most of the wealthy, the most of the more successful prototype men,
Hmm.
they're all married. They all have covenant and commitment.
Hmm.
So how has all of that translated and transferred into a marriage?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question because, and I love this question because when I always talk to people that are about to jump into business, that are in business, that are have been in business, I always like my idea is if you are an entrepreneur and you know this to your soul, it's very important for you to pick a partner that's either going to be in the game with you or they're going to be your biggest cheerleader. You, if she's in the middle, y'all may have to work on that. I don't want to say cut it off, but y'all may have to work on that. But it's very imperative that I think she's one or the other. She's your biggest cheerleader. She's going to root you on. Chris, you got the crazy ideas. You wanna start the marathon, man. You whatever. go ahead and do it. I'm gonna be here to support you and be there for you. Or she's gonna be in the game with you. We're doing this together, right? You and I are in this business together. My wife is definitely the type where she is my biggest cheerleader, and it's funny because when I think of my, I don't. Have you seen the movie 300?
Yeah, yeah,
So
I have.
the scene, the most famous scene in the movie, is when he's like, "This is Sparta," and he kicks my man down the hole. That's a great scene, but my favorite part of that scene is 5 seconds before it.
Mm.
Now, a lot of people may not remember this scene, but right before he kicks my man down the hole, he got his sword pulled out, and the dude's trembling. He's like, "You about to, do this to me?" Leonidas looks back at his wife, and his wife is like, just nods his head. And every time I see that scene, it gives me the chill because that's my wife, bro. Like there's times where I'm about to do something, I'm about to go into business with somebody, I'm about to sign this contract. I got the sword out. I look back at my wife, and she gives me like, "Nope, don't do business with him. He's not right. He's not. He don't got the character." Or like, "Go ahead and do that. You got it." And boom, we do it.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I say that not just saying it, because one of the biggest things that I've noticed being married and young and entrepreneur and just everything else is that, and I tell younger guys this, like, man, you got married at 22. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, God is all knowing, and he knew what he was doing when
Mm-hmm.
he proclaimed marriage is a good thing, because my wife, and I said it like this, she see things that I can't see. Like I can only see and know as much as I can know, but she's the other set of eyes that without, I wouldn't be completed.
For sure, bro.
I
For
I
sure.
just wouldn't be completed.
I'm gonna give you another example, bro. This is like this is all real life, but
Hmm.
this is so. What a lot of people may or may not know about me, I'm actually really hard of hearing. Like my hearing is not the best, bro. There'd be some times where like we're at a wedding, the music's blasting, and people are like trying to talk to me, and they're not talking loud enough, and I'm like, huh? But my wife, bro, your wife is your eyes. My wife is my ears, bro.
Mm.
So there'd be times where we're talking, and I literally cannot hear what you are saying to me, and I look to my wife, and she's like, he said this. Da, da, da. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. If it wasn't for her, I don't know about you, but I just say, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And my man could be like, you trying to get 10 shots right now? I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I can't, you know what I'm saying? But the point is she's like that in real life, but she's also like that when, again, bro. There's been multiple times where I was about to go into business with people, and I'm saying, yeah, 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 let's do it, and my wife is like telling me the truth, telling me what it is, telling me how it really looks, what it, telling me how it really appears to be. And that always gives me the opportunity to take a step back, reassess what my actual answer is.
That's good. That's real good. That's good. And it saddens me how the media can has a take on marriage, because it, and I'm not saying by any means is perfect or easy,
No,
but it's so worth it.
it's worth it. It's worth the work.
It's
It's work. It's challenging. Um, hopefully I'm not coming off as like I have a perfect marriage, because it's not that by any means. But like you said, it is worth it, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Like if I had the opportunity, if God said, if you want to go back in time and you had the opportunity to marry whoever you wanted or to marry your wife again, I would pick my wife 100 times over all day. So I talk to a lot of people that are married, have kids and whatnot, and I'm always listening, learning, and again, it's not perfect, but I'm blessed to be in the situation that I am and to have, honestly, the person I married is my best friend. I always tell people that. I married literally my best friend. Like this is like my dog right here, you know. So I can't complain.
yeah. It be like that for real. Like it's It's like now, not to say I cut everybody off, but you outgrow individuals and stuff. But like my wife has just become like my best friend. Like you said, as my dog for real.
Yeah,
Like
for sure,
it's
for sure.
that's how this.
Yeah.
And we've covered so many topics thus far. From
By the way,
healing the
bro, I'm here.
community.
I'm here. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm here.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
I'm here, bro.
We covered just so much. I want to go into more of the spiritual side of just everything because I know that we talked about again marriage, healing the community, spreading just wealth, entrepreneurship, and things of that nature. I want to dive deep into just why just I've heard you speak, about your beliefs, but just how that correlates into the thing of marriage, into business, into healing the community, into just your self development. How has your belief system in Christ impacted your life, just in general?
Man, it's hard to put that into words of how impactful my belief has been. But if I could just say one word, it's been everything. Like I would not be on this call. Everything is happening in divine order.
Mm,
For me to, you and I met through Los, and I always say one person obedience is always connected to somebody else's destiny. I always say that, bro, because that's the truth. And by me having a relationship with God, I'm able to understand what I need to do next in life and where my calling is. And so I was called to start. Initially, it was just a book club, bro. Like we just getting together. I don't know what this is gonna turn into, but eventually, Los hit me up, and Los was like, "Yo, I want to be a part of this." And Los and I are great friends now. And you met Los, and he invited you to the group. So to me, it's been everything. It's just, man, I get the chills thinking about it, but I can't put into words how impactful my belief has been. But it's just, yeah, it's hard for me to answer that, bro.
the thing while you're talking, and I truly believe it to be the Holy Spirit. I truly believe it to be. As you're talking, I'm just hearing apostle. Like if you think about it for real now, if we just think about it, restoring community, building wealth, not just monetary, but just healing community, and then gathering. And yes, you've built Marathon Men, and you honestly, we can call it a church. That's what we can honestly
Yeah, we
call it.
can. Yeah,
And then what you don't know, and by the time this comes out, other people probably would know, is that from you doing what you've done,
for sure,
it has been impressed upon me to do something similar.
1,000%. And what's beautiful from that is from Russ's perspective, once he builds whatever he wants to build, who else is he gonna impact
Mm.
from there? That's what gives me the chills right now thinking about that. Thinking about, like, to me, it's cool to be a leader, but it's even greater to build other leaders that do phenomenal things, that do things better than you. Like you always, I know you just joking around, but you're like, my guy, I want to be like you. Nah, bro, be better than me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Yeah, most
excited
definitely.
to see what you build, what blossoms from you, and who blossoms from your tree.
How do I want to ask this question? Just breaking down the way that you're building, how have you kind of discern between what Chris wants to build and what God is asking Chris to build?
Bro, that's I'm going through that. I've been going through that this whole year because what my flesh wants to build and what my flesh is, bro. Like I know I come off as a nice guy, but I have that dog in me where like that Kobe, that Mike. If you ain't on your stuff, you can go ahead and get out of here. That's what my flesh wants to do, bro. But I understand that God has called me not to do that. He's called me to build the environment. The environment is the soil. And once I build the environment, the soil, it's up to the fellas to plant themselves in that environment. It's up to God to ultimately develop them, grow them. That's not on me. I can't put
Mm.
that expectations on them because my expectations might not even be the right thing.
Mm.
So let me go ahead and step back, play my part, do what I need to do, at least just create the environment. If they want to get planted, if they want to show up consistent like Russ and lead at some time, great. If they don't, then that's not on me to I can do my best to hold them accountable, but I have to be very careful of who's the one that's truly watering these people, these men, I should say. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
I think
And I
that's the
don't
revelation I had this year. Like this guy was like, "This is what it looks like for you. This is what it needs to look like." I know you want everybody to be doing high rock with you and doing the runs with you, but not everybody's in that season. And you also have to have an open heart and open arm to guys that are in different seasons. Where like, yo, I have nothing to give, but I'm just showing up. I'm here, and you have to be able to receive those guys and welcome them in, and be an example to them.
yeah. Through your walk with Christ, have it has it been always apparent, or is it apparent now that and I heard Myron Golden says that the Jesus model, both carpenter and then the son of God. So being into ministry and then having vocational business, but merging the two instead of, you know, some Christians feel like, I can't be in the marketplace because that's secular. I should only be in ministry. So has it always been apparent to you that you have done or building or doing both, because you are in ministry? Like I said, it's almost like apostolic uh oil that is on you, but then you're also in the marketplace doing marketing and things of that nature.
Yeah, because how I show up in the group is how I show up in the marketplace. I'm the same exact way, bro. Like I mess around and pray for people, like pray for clients. I'll text them like,
Mm,
how are you doing, bro? How's it? Like these are clients that pay me, and
mm,
I will text them and like, yo, I heard you were sick, heard your kids were sick. I'm praying for you.
wow.
I am that guy, bro. That I will check
Wow.
in on your family. I'll call you up. I don't even care if you paid the invoice. I do care if you paid the invoice. Let's not go that far. Let's not do that, Russ. Let's not do that. But like there are times where I what I'll say is I'll make a call specifically just to check on you. Then I'll double back and call you tomorrow about whatever we need to talk about, right? But how I show up in the men's group, how I show up in the marketplace is I'm the same person. I've been in the position as we spoke about before where I had to put the multiple masks on and it was very exhausting for me. I'm go ahead and take these things off and be myself and be the person that God has called me to be and let everything work out the way it should and only worry about how you show up, worry about your faith level, worry about um, the effort that you put in and worry about the attitude that you put out in the world and let everything work out the way it should.
That's good. I want to wrap up with this question right here, because I'm interested, and I haven't asked a lot of individuals this question. But if, God forbid, but let's just say Jesus took everything away from you, your brand,
Mm-hmm.
the marathon men, the
Mm-hmm.
microphones,
Mm-hmm.
the marketing contracts. Who is Chris aside from being married, being a amazing mentor, all of these things? Who is Chris at his very core?
I'm a child of God, bro. I'm a child of God. And it's funny because I think there is a question that went viral recently about I had quickly seen it on social media. They were like, "Would you rather take $1 trillion or 10 minutes with Jesus?"
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was like, "Yo, I take the trilly because I talk to God all day. I do that. That's
Mm,
cool. But for me, you can take it all. You can have all the money, bro. You
mm,
can. I'm telling you, if somebody came to me and was like, "Yo, I will write you a check for $1 trillion," but your character, the marriage, you gotta like, cut some corners a little bit, but you can have the $1 trillion, but you may not be the. I'd be like, nah, bro. I would rather go ahead and keep that money. I'll be broke for the rest of my life, have nothing, but I'm a child of God, and I'll stand on that all day.
it's this.
And people may not believe that. They mean, hey, Chris, let me put that money in front of you, and you go ahead and try me. Like I promise you, like I really, I don't care about these worldly desires, like everything from social media. And I know my business is marketing and whatnot, but to my core. I don't care. I don't care to be flexing and doing X, Y, and Z. Like that's not me. Like I would much rather be a private success and a public failure than the inverse. There's so many
Mm,
people out there that are public success. They got the money, they got the car, but they go home and their kids don't respect them. Their wife look at them
wow.
crazy. You can have that. I would much rather be a private success. You don't know anything about me. You don't know me, but my family's thriving. I'm healthy. I have a great relationship with God. My community's doing good, and I'm cool with that.
Mm. As we wrap up things here, I think I said that was the last question. I lied. Um, as we wrap up things here, what would you want to leave the Black and Brown community? If there's some young teenager, either male or female, that you just want to leave them, to hopefully help them on their way to success.
2 words: do it. Everybody has something inside of them that they really want to do and pursue, create, put out into the world, but this society that we live in instills fear into us. Like, what if I don't make it? What if I put it out there and people don't like it? What if I make this dope shirt and nobody buys it? Right? Okay, I'm not gonna even do it. I'm not gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna make that company. I'm not gonna start that podcast. I'm not gonna put out that video because of fear. And that comes from the limiting beliefs that we have within our community that we spoke about earlier. So I would pray that you kill those limiting beliefs, and I pray that whatever it is that's in your soul that you want to do, no matter what age you are, to go ahead and do that thing. Because every day you don't do it, you could potentially be losing out on blessing people, um, money, opportunities. Like there's things out there by you not acting on what you've been called to do that you are losing out on. And again, I'll end it with this: your obedience is connected to somebody else's destiny. There's somebody out there that is waiting on you to step into what you've been called to do so they can go ahead and take that step that they need to do as well.
That's good, man. I do again want to give you your props, um, just for coming on here, definitely educating me. I have some takeaways from this whole podcast episode that I need to rethink, especially about the very core. The question that I asked you, it just resonates so much with me as well, because sometimes we can get caught up in the cares of this life. But I want to just say thank you again for being a part of this episode. It meant a lot to me, and I hope there's some takeaways that someone else can learn. And yeah, man. As I always say, visibility brings attention. Systems turn attention into revenue. And that's it. I'm your host, Russell Dowley, and that's been another episode of Echo Untethered, the podcast.
Peace.
My name is Russell Dowley, and I'm your host here at Echo Untethered, the podcast. And if you enjoy this episode, please hit that subscribe and follow us wherever the Echo Mark Network is: Twitter, Instagram, even our Facebook pages. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you, and God bless.